Welcome students. In previous class or in previous videos we have studied about the first chapter, the living world, and we completed the first chapter, living world. Today we are going to start discussing about the chapter 4, chapter 2 and chapter 3. Chapter 2 is a biological classification and chapter 3 is a plant kingdom. I will discuss after this chapter. Now, today's class we are going to discuss about the chapter 4, animal kingdom. You all aware about the what in living world? The living world we are studied about the characteristics of living things. After that we are studied about the classification, identification. Then we are studied about the hierarchies, taxa, and binomial nomenclature. How we are going to give the name, scientific name for a organism. These are all the things we are studying. In this particular chapter, chapter 4, animal kingdom, what we are going to study? You all know about that. What we are studying in earlier chapter, in first chapter, how we are going to classify the organisms, and we used to identify the organism based upon some external morphological character or a basic characters. Now here in this particular chapter, in this particular chapter, we are going to study in spite of what we are going to call that as a different structures. In spite of different structures and the formation of a different organisms, we are going to study few fundamental features which are common in few organisms. In the sense, what I told you, in spite of difference in a structure and forms of different animals, there are the fundamental features which are common in various organisms. And based on that, we are going to classify them. In the sense, in a present chapter, animal kingdom, we are going to study first point, that is the basis of classification. In basis of classification, what else we are going to study? In the sense, I told you, in spite of difference in a structure and forms of a different animals, there are some fundamental features which are common in various animals, such as what are those? In the sense, arrangement of cells. Arrangement of cells. You all know about the, in the sense, cells. It is a singular, cell is a plural. Cell is a fundamental unit of life. Understood? And here in animal kingdom, in the sense, kingdom Animalia, all the organisms are multicellular. So, in basis of classification, we are going to study about the arrangement of cells. How the arrangement of cells are there. This basic fundamental feature we are going to study in a basis of classification. Next one, we are going to study about the body symmetry. Next one, means nature of a xylem, patterns of respiratory, digestive and reproductive system. In the sense, when we are going to look at the organisms, living organisms, in spite of difference in the structure as well as difference in the formation of the formation of animals, we are going to find few fundamental characters which are common in various organisms, and those are what? Arrangement of a cell, body symmetry, nature of xylem, pattern of respiratory, digestive or reproductive system. These all we are going to consider when we are going to discuss about the few common fundamental characters which are common in various what we are going to call that as a organisms, in spite of their different structures and forms of different animals. Now, here we are going to study in detail one by one. First, I am going to start with the level of organization. Levels of organization. What is meant by levels of organization? Here I told you arrangement of a cells. Now here, how the cells are going to arrange? In the sense, here I am going to write first one cell, then the cells are going to aggregate to form a tissue, then the tissues are going to aggregate to perform a particular function. That time they are going to form a organ. The next one is if a few organs are joined together and they are going to perform a particular function. That time we are going to call it as a organ system. We are going to call it as a organ system. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ ಮೊದಲು ಸೆಲ್ದಿಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡಿ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹಿಡಿತವು. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 2 ಅಥವಾ 3 ಟಿಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕೂಡಿ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇ a particular function. Then more than 2 or 3 organs are combined and they are going to form a organ system. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ we are going to study the levels of organization in different organisms. Here first I written on the board in animal kingdom. In the sense Animalia is a kingdom. In under the Animalia kingdom all the organisms are multicellular. In the sense we are studied in lower organisms यूनिसेलुलर and मल्टीसेलुलर. यूनिसेलुलर ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಏನ ಒಂದು ಏಕಕೋಶಿ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಸೆಲ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಬಹುಕೋಶಿ. ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡ ಬುಕ್ನ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ here Animalia it is a kingdom. In under the Animalia all the organisms are multicellular and they do not exhibit the same cell organization. They do not exhibit same ಸೆಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸೆಲ್ ಏನು ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಇರ್ತೈತಿ, ಕೋಶಗಳು ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಇರ್ತೈತಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತರ ಏನಾಗಿಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ cellular level of organization, tissue level of organization, organ level of organization, and last one is a organ system level of organization. Here I told you cells in tissue. Particular cells they are going to arrange together and they are going to perform a single function or a particular function. That time we are going to call those group of cells as a tissue. After that means many tissues they are come together to perform a single function or a particular function. That time we are going to call it as a organ. And many organs are come together to perform a single function or a particular function. That is what we are going to call as a organ system. Now likewise here first we are going to study the cellular level. In the sense here the cells are closed, means loosely arranged. They are not compactly arranged, they are loosely arranged. And they, here the arrangement is the arrangement of the cells is what we are going to call it as a, there is no compactly arranged cells. There is no compactly arranged cells. In the sense the cells are arranged as a loose cells. The cells are arranged as a loose cells arrangement, and this type of arrangement we are going to found in a sponges, and the sponges are come under the phylum Porifera. The sponges are come under the phylum Porifera. Next when we are going to go for the higher phylum after the Porifera, in the sense Coelenterate. In Coelenterate the level of organization it is a tissue level of organization. In the sense here the particular cells are come together and they are going to form a tissue, and those tissues are going to perform, or we are going to call here as a distribution of labor. Distribution of labor ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಆ ಒಂದು ಟಿಶ್ಯೂದ ಆ ಅವರ ಕೆಲಸ ಏನಿರ್ತೈತಿ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ತೈತಿ. ಆ ರೀತಿ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಎತ್ತರವಾಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಸಿಲಿಂಡ್ರೇಟರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ. and that is nothing but a tissue level of organization. Understood? Next what we are going to study about the organ level of organization. In organ level of organization what we are going to study in still higher organisms. In the sense we are studying here sponges, it is come under the phylum Porifera. After that we are studying the Coelenterata. Next used to come what we are going to call it as a Porifera, Coelenterata. Then used to come the Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda. Then we are going to go for the Mollusca, Echinodermata, etc. We used to go for the higher phylums. Now after the Coelenterate, the next whatever the higher phylums are used to come, in those we are going to found the level of organization is organ level of organization. Organ level of organization. What are the examples? Platyhelminthes and higher phyla. Here the particular tissues which are come together to form a what organ, and that organ is going to play an important role in a particular function. For example, in Platyhelminthes or Arthropoda mollusca, etc., we are going to find different organs. In the sense, if it is eye or CT, etc. Next one is we are going to study organ system level of organization. Organ system level of organization in the sense many organs are come together to perform a single or particular function. Though that type of level of organization we are going to call as a organ system level of organization. In organ system level of organization, this system of organization we are going to find in a annelids and further. After the annelids, whatever the phylums are used to come, all those phyla used to show the organ system level of organization. Here, now organ system level of organization in the sense what? When we are going to study about the physiology, for example, digestive system. In platyhelminthes, the digestive system is incomplete because for the what we are going to call that as a excretion or a fecal matter, it is come out with the one opening and also the mouth and anus, these together in a single opening. In the sense, there is no separate opening for mouth and anus. That's why we are going to call it as a incomplete digestive system, and that is come under the platyhelminthes. But when we go for the next annelids and next to the annelids onwards, we are going to find the complete digestive system. In the sense, mouth is separate and anus is separate. Two openings we are going to found on a means in a organisms, and which plays the separate roles. One is ingestion and one is what we are going to call as a extraction of a undigested food material. That is what we are going to call the organ system of organization. And another two I written on the board: open type of circulatory system and closed type of circulatory system. When we are going to study the circulatory system, in the sense that consists of organs, for example, heart and what we are going to call it as a vessels. Understood? Open type of circulatory system, here the blood is pumped by the heart and it is come out into the body cavity, and all the organs are bathed into the blood. That is what we are going to call as a open type of circulatory system. When we are going to discuss about the closed type of circulatory system, that time the blood is not come out into the body cavity, it is circulated within the blood vessels, and such type of circulatory system is called as a closed type of circulatory system. We are going to study in detail in further phylums. So, such type of systems we are going to find, that is what we are going to call as a organ system level of organization. So, these are the four levels of organization we are going to find in a organisms, from lower level to the higher level. In lower level, in the sense what? In kingdom Animalia, all the organisms are multicellular, and in kingdom Animalia, lower organisms are sponges, which are come under the phylum Porifera, and they show the cellular level of organization. After that, in a higher class or a higher phylum, coelenterids used to come, and they show the tissue level of organization. After that, organ level of organization, organ system level of organization, and in organ system level of organization, I told you about the digestive system, incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system, and I discussed about the open type of circulatory system and closed type of circulatory system. This is about what? Level of organization. Understood? Next, we are going to study about the next point, that is what? Symmetry. Symmetry in the sense what? When we are going to study the organism, if you are going to look at the organism, for example, you are going to see the crab or a human being. Here, what we used to study under the symmetry in the sense, when we are going to cut the organism, in any plane or a single plane which is passing through the center. For example, we used to cut the human being likewise in a center, through the center. That time what is going to happen? Two equal parts are going to, means you are going to get the two equal parts. On the basis of that, we are going to study the symmetry. There are the three types. One is asymmetry, second one is the radial symmetry, and third one is the bilateral symmetry. In asymmetry, what is going to happen? Here we are going to study about the example sponges. If you are going to take a sponge, we are going to cut that sponge in any plane which is passing through the center. That time you couldn't get two equal walls. In the sense, that type of symmetry we are going to call as a asymmetry. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸ್ಪಾಂಜ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟರ್ ದಾಗಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕಟ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಎರಡು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಗ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು? ಅಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎರಡು ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿರ್ತದ? ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ, ಅನದರ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೈಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ. ಇವರ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಐತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಒಂದೇ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ ಏನಿರ್ತದ? ಎನಿ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಐತಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಐತಿ. ಇವು ಎರಡು ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ಟ ನೀವು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಅಂತ ಇದು ಐತಿ, ಓನ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಎರಡು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? ಎನಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸಿಂಗಲ್. ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಬರದಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬೈಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಎನಿ ಬರದಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿದ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ನಾಗ ಏನೇನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನೀವು? ಎನಿ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಬರೀತೀರಿ, ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಬರೀತೀರಿ. ನಾ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಹಿಯರ್ radial symmetry. Radial symmetry definition ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರೀತೀವಿ? If you are going to cut an animal or a organism from by any plane, ಯಾವುದೇ plane ಲಿ ನೀವು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, that is passing through the center, you are going to get the two equal halves. That time we are going to call that as a radial symmetry. And when we are going to study the bilateral symmetry, that time when the organism is cut into a single plane which is passing through the center, that time we are going to get the two equal walls, and such type of symmetry is called as a bilateral symmetry. ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ? asymmetry ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, sponges are come under the asymmetry. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೋವು cylindrids, nidophora and echinodermata. ಇವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾವಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ ದಾಗ ಬರ್ತವು. ಅನಂತರ ಒನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ in echinodermata ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, echinodermata shows both the symmetries, radial symmetry as well as bilateral symmetry. When we are going to study in a next class each phylums ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ? Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Echinodermata, Mollusca. ಇವನು ಒಂದೊಂದಾಗಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಇನ್ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಕಲಿತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ we are going to study the different characters of phylum Porifera, phylum Coelenterata, phylum Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, then next Arthropoda, Echinodermata, Mollusca. ಆ ಟೈಮ್ನಾಗ ಇವೇನೇನು ನಾ ಈಗ ಹೇಳತ್ತೀನಿ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಕಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಬರೀ ಮುಂದೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು? ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬೈಲ್ಯಾಟರಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಸಿಮೆಟ್ರಿ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಈಗ cylindrids, ctenophore and echinodermata. But echinodermata those organisms shows both the radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. ಅವು ನಾವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಫೈಲಮ್ echinodermata ಕಲಿಯುವುದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಆ ನಂತರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ Coelenterata, nidophore ಆದ ನಂತರ ಮುಂದಿನ ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾವು those all are going to shows the bilateral symmetry. Understood? This is about what? Symmetry. So in today's class what else we have studied? Basis of classification. Here we are going to study about the arrangement of cells, body symmetry, nature of xylem, patterns of respiratory, digestive or reproductive system. And we have discussed here in today's class in detail the level of organization. In a level of organization we are studying about the four levels of organization in a multicellular organisms which are come under the means kingdom Animalia. What are those? Cellular level. Next one is tissue level of organization, organ level of organization, and last one is a organ system level of organization. These things in also confusing answer kuda in a next class when we are going to study in detail first phylum Porifera to the Mollusca. That time you come to know what we are studying in a previous class. Now one class again kalkutta. Understood? This is about what? Level of organization. Cellular level, tissue level, organ system level of organization. and I given the examples also. And next we are studying about the symmetry. Symmetry in the sense when an organism is cut in any plane or in a single plane which is passing through the center. If that organism is not divided into two equal halves at the very way, halves two equal parts, if it is not divided into two equal parts, that time we are going to call that one as a symmetry. Radial symmetry in the sense when an organism is cut in any plane which is passing through the center, the organism is divided into two equal halves or two equal parts. That time, such type of symmetry is called as a radial symmetry. And last one is a bilateral symmetry, when an organism is cut into a single plane that is passing through the center and it is divided into two equal parts, and such type of symmetry is called as a bilateral symmetry. Okay, so still first of all what we have studied? We have studied about the symmetry. Now after symmetry we are going to study about the diploplastic and triploplastic organisms. Diploplastic and triploplastic organisms. What we are going to study? We are going to study about the diploplastic and triploplastic organisms. Diploplastic and triploplastic animals or organisms. Here, on the basis how we are going to study about the diploplastic and triploplastic organisms. If the animals in which the cells are arranged in a two embryonic layer, what? The animals in which cells are arranged into two layers. In animals in which the cells are arranged into two embryonic layers. We are going to just write here two embryonic layers. In the sense, during the embryonic development, if the cells are arranged into two layers, such type of organisms are called as a diploplastic animals. And those two layers are, one is ectoderm, another one is endoderm. Outside, the outermost layer is called as ectoderm and innermost layer is called as endoderm. It is in case of what? Diploplastic animals. It is in case of diploplastic animals. In diploplastic animals, animals in which cells are arranged into two embryonic layers, and those two layers are, outer layer is called as ectoderm and inner layer is called as endoderm. And such type of organisms are called as diploplastic organisms or diploplastic animals. Example, coelentrates. Coelentrates. Now, what is going to happen in the sense? Here, an undifferentiated layer, mesoglia, is present in between the ectoderm and endoderm. The mesoglia is present in between the what we are going to call as ectoderm and endoderm. Those animals which are the developing embryo has a 3 germ layers. In the sense, in between ectoderm and endoderm, if you are going to get mesoglia, here mesoglia. What I written on the board? MESOGLEA, mesoglia, undifferentiated mesoglia. Here in diploplastic, what I told you, there are the two layers, ectoderm and endoderm. In some organisms, in between the ectoderm and endoderm, we are going to find the undifferentiated mesoglia, undifferentiated layer, mesoglia. Those animals in which the developing embryo had mesoglia. Understood? Here, in which we are going to call that one as a ectoderm and endoderm in a diploplastic. Now we are going to study about the triploplastic organism. When we are going to discuss about the triploplastic organism. Before that, once again I am going to make clear view about the diploplastic organism. Diploplastic organism are animals in which the cells are arranged into two embryonic layers. One is ectoderm, another one is endoderm. Outermost is ectoderm and innermost is a endoderm. Example, cylindrate. And here an undifferentiated layer, mesoglia, is present in between the ectoderm and endoderm. Now we are going to discuss about the what? Triploplastic organism. In are animals in which the cells are arranged into the three embryonic layers. What are those in the cells? Ectoderm, endoderm, and in between the ectoderm and endoderm we are going to find the new another one means what we are going to call that as a germinal layer is called as a mesoderm. In the sense, endoderm, ectoderm, in between this mesoderm. And if these three layers are there in a embryonic, during the embryonic development, such animals are called as a triploplastic animals. From what we are going to call that one as a platyhelminths to chordates, all are triploplastic animals. In the sense, diploplastic and triploplastic organisms, in the sense what we are going to study in these organisms, if the animals are having two layers, two embryonic layers, those are called as diploplastic. The animals in which the cells are arranged in three layers, those are called as a triploplastic. This is about the diploplastic and triploplastic. Next we are going to study about the coelom. Next we are going to study about the coelom. C-O-E-L-O-M. Coelom in the sense what? Coelom is nothing but a body cavity. Coelom andre body cavity. This body cavity ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೊಂದು what we are going to call that ಕನ್ನಡದಾಗ ಏನಂತಾರೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹುಡುಕಾಡ್ರಿ. ಬಾಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾವಿಟಿ. Coelom is nothing but a body cavity which is present in between the body wall and gut wall. It is present in between the body wall and gut wall. Gut wall in the sense what? Digestive tract illa adu. Now here what we are going to study atandaga, if the body cavity, in the sense it is lined by mesoderm. The body cavity is lined by the mesoderm and that is nothing but coelom. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೋ coelom. Coelom is a body cavity which is lined by the mesoderm. Understood? Coelom is a body cavity which is lined by the mesoderm. Which is lined by the mesoderm. It's bad. Coelom, it is a body cavity which is present in between the body wall and gut wall and is lined by mesoderm. That is what we are going to call as a coelom. Now next, here we are going to study about the three types of animals. One is acoelomates, second one is pseudocoelomates, third one is coelomates. Now here, acoelomates in the sense what? If the animals doesn't possess any body cavity. If the body cavity is absent in an animal, means in a animals, those are called as a acoelomates. Here in a coelomates, what I told you the definition, coelom in the sense the body cavity which is present in between the body wall and gut wall, it is lined by the mesoderm, it is called as a coelom. Now, if the organism possess or the body cavity is present or absent, based on that there are the three types of animals. One is acoelomates, pseudocoelomates and coelomates. The organisms, the body cavity is absent in an organism, those are called as a acoelomates. If there is no body cavity, such animals or such organisms are called as a acoelomates. Example, platyhelminths, pseudocoelomates. Now here pseudo in the sense, ನೀವು ಅಮಿವಾದ ಕಲ್ತಿರೋ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂದವರ ಮಿಥ್ಯಪಾದ, ಮಿಥ್ಯ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಳ್ಳು, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸೂಡೋ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ಈಗ body cavity is there, body cavity is there, but it is not lined by the mesoderm. and such organisms are called as a pseudocoelomates. Coelomate is there, but it is not lined by the mesoderm. Such organisms are called as a pseudocoelomates. Example, Ascalmanthus. And last one is a coelomates. Coelomates in the sense the organisms which are having the body cavity and it is lined by the what we are going to call that one as a mesoderm. Such organisms are called as a coelomates. Example, Annelida and upper Annelida, annelids, arthropoda, mollusca, echinodermata, chordates, etc. All these come under the coelomates. So this is about what coelomates, pseudocoelomates and coelomates. Coelom illattanದಾಗ animals na coelom ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು acoelomates. pseudocoelomates ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು animals ದಾಗ coelom ಇರ್ತೈತಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದು mesoderm ದಿಂದ lined, it is not lined by the mesoderm. And last one is a coelomates, body cavity is present and it is lined by the mesoderm. This is about what coelom. So I am going to conclude today's class here only. In present class we are studied about the basis of classification, and after that in basis of classification in detail we are going to start studying the levels of organization. We are studying in detail and we are studying about symmetry, next diploplastic and diploplastic organisms, and last one is a coelom. And next point I am going to start in a next class. Thank you.